Oh, good morning. Friday again, end of a week. Friday the 24th of April at 7 minutes past 7. Falls of Clyde. Beautiful morning, absolutely gorgeous here. Absolutely love it, it's gorgeous up here. It's beautiful. Changes every day. You get little waterfalls within little waterfalls. The water finds a new path, it finds a new way to get down. Morning Liz, how are you? Oh, thanks for your kind words last night. Right, at least we've got a couple of people. Oh, I was going to show you Ralph. Don't want to see me just yet. Say good morning to Liz, Ralph. Ralph, up. Oh, there's a wee manny. Come on then. Right, good morning. And Friday, follow the 12 is a process that I use to work with clients. It's ideal to do it over 12 weeks. Not everybody has 12 weeks, so we can do it sooner, quicker. It's very effective, works very well, and we're on. Morning Stephen Snedden, I'm glad you're watching Stephen. Was thinking about you when I was running this morning. This one's for you. So here we go. Follow the 12 part 5. I'm not even getting caught up on how many people are watching. We're just going to get nailed right through it this morning. So part 5 is what we would call crossing the bridge, crossing the border. Now, you've remembered step 1, life was ordinary. Step 2, you've got a dream. You know that there's a better way to be. Step 3, you refuse the call. Can I do this? It's too much for me. Step 4, you meet a mentor, you meet a guide. Step 5, we've crossed the threshold. So we've got the mentor, we've had a wee push. And this is where we get to the point of no return, because effectively what we're doing is the first 3 stages are where we have put a barrier up to our unconscious mind. Morning, Anne. The first 3 stages is where we've put a barrier up to our unconscious mind. We know that we're in an abusive relationship. We know that the relationship's not working, but it's better having something than nothing, right? So what we do as human beings is that from 3rd trimester probably, if not even before in my opinion, right through to the age of 7, we're in what's called a hypnagogic trance, and we're sucking in more information from our environment in those first 7 years of our development than we will in the rest of our life. It's hyperspeed. And in that there's lots of shadows, demons, dark stuff, the bogeymen, fear of the dark. It's where we learn patterns of behaviour by looking at our parents, our caregivers, or those around us in the street and how we should behave and should not behave. It's where we repress a lot of our feelings. We shut it down, and all that goes into the subconscious mind. So step 1, step 2, step 3 is pretty much because we're functioning from a non-conscious perspective, and what we're doing is we're just going through life living the scripts and schemas and narratives of our past. Okay, so we're not fully present. Right? So what happens is those scripts and schemas of the past are running, and they're running a reel in a projector screen, and they're getting put onto our current reality. History repeats itself, all that kind of stuff, right? So we're moving into step 5, which is where we cross the threshold. The minute we cross the threshold, this is what I call we're entering into our subconscious mind, okay? This is where we meet the shadows. This is where in the movies there's great tests. It's where the gargoyles and the gremlins and the dark nights of the soul and the things that will try and tempt us and pull us back, right? So what happened with the mentor, and if it was in the fellowship, you've been living as a person that's got dependency issues, or using substances or alcohol, or you're even in a destructive relationship, right? It's all the same to me. So you're going along that programme, and you go to your first kind of meeting, and things that people are saying, as I said to you yesterday, you meet the mentor. Oh, I think like that. Goodness, it's as if that person is talking directly to me. It's as if this message has came directly for me. And that's the kind of stuff that starts to open the trapdoor and allow us to get down into our unconscious minds, right? So we've crossed the threshold. This is the part of where we're at, where I say, you're on a moving train now. You don't want to get off a moving train, because if you do attempt to turn back at this point, you've already opened the door. You've opened the door. You've got to just keep rolling with it, right? So this is where a lot of us will meet enemies and allies. It's not just shadows we meet. This is where the right people show up at the right time. This is where it becomes a slightly exciting but also terrifying part of the journey, because we're made to face our shadows, our demons, our dark stuff. It's also that we start to look at the patterns of behaviour that were set up in those early years of our development. We start to make links to the past and the present, and how things from the past are showing up in our present reality. And this is where we have to slay the dragon. This is the dragon slaying moment. Okay? So crossing the threshold, what we're really doing, as I see it, is we're crossing the bridge from running those old scripts and schemas that are running us, and we're starting to say enough is enough, and I am going to go and I am going to tackle all these scripts, these schemas. I'm going to go and slay the dragons of my past. Okay, and when you step into this part, it's quite magical, because all the things that want to hold you back will do. Now, if you remember in step 3, the refusal of the call, that magnet of our past that is so invested in you staying stuck, it's got super strength, and it's trying to pull you back into an old way of thinking, being and behaving, right? That's no different throughout the rest of the steps, okay? In this part of the coaching model that I use, this is where we would incorporate step 3 and step 4 of the 12-step process to help us with that. Step 3, that we've given our will and life over to God as we understand him or her, right? Step 4 is where we make a fearless and moral inventory of ourselves. So that is, I am a cheat. I am aggressive. I am hostile. Okay? I am manipulative. I am whatever you might be, right? So these, if you can make a fearless and moral inventory of yourself at this point as you're crossing over into the threshold, when you meet the shadows, when you meet those dark entities that will try, that you've got to go and fight with, right? That's the dragons and the gargoyles and the gremlins and all that kind of stuff. Well, you've already, in a roundabout way, wrote them down. You've already made a fearless and moral inventory of yourself. So although you've still got to tackle them, okay, you've at least got to be forewarned is to be forearmed, okay? So you've done the fearless moral inventory, and this is where you're crossing into the threshold, and this is where you're starting to enter into a new paradigm. Now, this feels very, very strange, because quite literally it is a completely new replicating paradigm, because you've never been here before. Because if you've been locked in alcohol or substance misuse, or you've been in a destructive relationship, you might have met your wife or husband straight from school or college. You've actually never lived on your own before. You've actually never had to pay the bills on your own. So living yourself would be terrifying, because it's never something that you've experienced. If you've been using drugs or alcohol for 10, 20, 30 years, you actually don't know what life can look like when that. So when you lift the lid on that and you enter into this fresh, almost virgin type holodeck, it starts to replicate and expand. And it's very much like surfing. You're on the crest of a wave, and you've just got to let go of fear. Okay, so that's step 5. We would use step 5 when we're working with step 5. We would incorporate step 3 and step 4 of the 12-step process. And I've given you the reason why. We give our life and will over to God as we understand him or her. And we make a fearless and moral inventory of ourselves, because when we go down through the trapdoor of going into those old scripts and schemas from our past that we've been running out in our current continuum, we just kind of end up turning into our mum or our dad. And, well, hey, how happy were they at the end of the day? So if you want to make a change, this is where you cross the threshold. And once you go into this unknown new world, there's no turning back, right? So that's that for this morning. That's where we're at. If you're following these processes and you're entering on a journey of recovery or even change, you're thinking about changing your business, you're thinking about how unhappy your relationship is, but it's became familiar, but I'm rather with the familiarity that I know than, morning Gordon, than having it any other way, then this is where it starts to get really exciting, but also terrifying, because all your shadow archetypes, all your destructive patterns and behaviours, all these enemies that are fighting against yourself, this is where they start to come to play. But it's also where you start to meet the right people in the right time. This is where we have almost like God-directed moments where we just hear something that somebody's saying, we read an article in a magazine, it's almost like something jumps out the pages of a book, you're listening to a podcast and it's just like, woof, this person's speaking directly to me. This is the road that I need to be on. This is where you need to make a fearless and moral inventory of yourself, because this is where your shadows lie. This is what you've been denying about yourself for all of these years, and the power that you have, because what you've been doing is you've been running these old scripts and schemas of the past. They've been showing up in your present life. What you've done is you've put a piece of wood up against the door where all your shadows are living behind. And what we're doing here, because we're crossing the threshold into the subconscious and unconscious realms of our mind, we're starting to let the doors off of those shadows. So when you are fighting these demons, it's only yourself that you're fighting. But through acceptance of these demons, that's where you're going to get the power to continue on with the next 7 steps of this journey. So no stories from me at this point. I've got loads. Every time I get to this point, quite regular, because there's a macrocosm of crossing the threshold, yet there's microcosms of crossing the threshold. But the way I feel when I cross the threshold, when I take this step, it's like that part in the film Snatch where Sting's son, forget the name of the actor, Sting's playing a part in it, and he's playing a game of cards with Hatchet Harry and all that, and I think they've got about 100 grand in the table, and he loses, and when he realises he's losing, if you remember, everything just starts vibrating and wobbling. It's like, wow. So every time that I seem to dive into this portal, going through this other portal, that's what it feels like. It's like my whole reality just quivers and shakes, and then every time you're about ready to take even a small change, when you're about to take a little evolution in consciousness, when you're about to just take a little step up, move the frequency up a little bit, change the octane a little bit, you always get something that's going to trigger you, where you're going to react, where you notice you're just about ready to react in anger and say something really, really that you can't turn back from in that moment. And that again is the magnet of the past. That's all step 3 stuff. That's all refusing the journey, refusing to take the call. So I'm wishing you an absolutely fantastic Friday. Have a great day, whatever it is that you're doing, and take care, and thanks for listening. Have a great day. Bye.